Good morning, everybody. We want to welcome you back to our Wednesday webinars, kicking off 2025, and we're excited to have many of you back. And if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. You're going to find that in 2025, Lightspeed again is doing monthly webinars. We're thrilled that Brian Tierney is back as our presenter, and what we really have tried to lock in for the next 6 months at least is that the second Wednesday of every month, we'll be doing a topic. 30-minute webinars that help you get up to speed and quickly learn about some new features, functionality within Lightspeed. You can always find that full list of our webinars out on our website, just on the webinars page. But for today, we're going to focus in on innovations for the new year. And just a reminder, anytime throughout the webinar, if you have questions, feel free at the bottom of your window, there's a little Q&A area. Just type in your questions. We're going to address those as we can throughout the webinar. And if we don't get to all of the questions during the webinar, we'll make the recording available, as well as some Q&A documents that address those questions we may not have gotten to. And with that, I want to introduce to everybody, once again, Brian Tierney. So welcome, Brian. Excited to have you on board for another year of exciting webinars with Lightspeed.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Diana. And thanks for joining us, folks. For those of you that have not been on our webinars before, as Diana had mentioned, my name is Brian Tierney, and I'm the software solutions engineer here at Lightspeed. Got 30 years experience using Lightspeed. I spent 16 years in a dealership here in Salt Lake City, Utah, where I'm talking to you from. Did some parts, did some service, did some sales in the dealership using Lightspeed back in the 90s, early 2000s. And I've been with the Lightspeed organization since 2011 and worked in various capacities from support to an on-site trainer. Now work with sales and marketing for events like these. And we appreciate you taking some time today to review some details on Lightspeed with us. As Diana had mentioned, we're going to talk about innovations in the Lightspeed world, some of the new features and functions that we're rolling out in the program to make things more streamlined, to create some efficiencies in your business, not only to enhance the experience of the Lightspeed user at your store, but also to ultimately enhance the experience of your customers with your business. And we'll talk about some ways that we do that using elements in Lightspeed. For today's topics, we're going to talk about automation and communication, an element of our CRM tool. We're going to focus primarily on the service side of the business today. Now, next month, as Diana had mentioned, we're going to continue to go through these webinars month over month throughout the calendar year 2025. We're going to focus more on the sales side of CRM next month, but today we're going to focus on automation and communication in service. We're going to see how that element contributes to the calendar, and we'll show you a brand new innovation that's come to the calendar and some ways that you can be alerted about events that are related to the calendar, appointments, and features. We're going to talk about forms and electronic signature, ways to expedite the process of checking in your customers and provide a seamless experience for them throughout your service cycle. We'll talk about some new elements in the mobile application on the service side, our brand new tech video features, along with an innovation to the parts request function. If you're using the mobile application, you may be already using a parts request function, but we've got an additional element that we've just recently rolled out, a new innovation on that subject. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about some of the integrations that we have with our OEMs and third-party companies and show you some examples of what those look like and some resources on our website to find other companies that maybe you're interested in integrating your business with. We'll spend some time on that. And at the end of today's webinar, we'll take some questions and go through the presentation together. So with that, let's talk about automation and communication, really that CRM experience inside of the service module. Now, I'm going to use the term workflow management when it comes to follow-up change, and you'll see why in just a moment. But we're going to go ahead and go into the Lightspeed experience and talk about what that automation and communication experience looks like together. So I'm going to pull up Lightspeed now. We're going to go to service as promised. We're going to go to estimates and repair orders. And for those of you that have been on the webinars with me before, you might remember me using the phrase work in progress screen. We're looking at the estimates and repair order screen. And really what we see on here is everything that's going on in the service department at the very moment, my work in progress in service. But I'm going to pick on Miss Linda Smith. We're going to take a look at her repair order, and we're going to see how that automation and communication has impacted her and impacted the users of Lightspeed when it comes to this particular repair order. Now, to set the stage, we've already checked Miss Linda in. We've got her information on the repair order. We've got her vehicles checked in. We've got the jobs built. We might even have Diana turning wrenches on the RV in the back room. So we've got things rolling already. We're going to start the story on the communications tab. And as mentioned, follow-up chains, or in my mind, I call this the workflow management tool of CRM, but also automation and communication. I press that down arrow next to follow-up chains, and right now I've got a phrase in there that says Service Workflow Manager, and there's 15 in parentheses. Well, what does that mean? Well, that's pointing to, again, workflow management that got assigned to this repair order as soon as I created it from scratch. As soon as I hit the save button, that follow-up chain workflow management appointment calendar gets assigned to this repair order. And what happens then? Well, 15 minutes after the repair order gets saved, a text message goes out to our customer to thank her for her business, to let her know who the service writer is and phone numbers and hours of business, perhaps. And as the clock continues to tick, appointments get assigned to the service writer, appointments get assigned to the service manager, and other members of your team to manage this customer experience. All the while, as the clock continues to tick, updates on the repair order cycle in the form of emails and texts continue to go out to Linda to let her know where you're at in that service cycle. Now, those might be based on predetermined time intervals, say 3 days, a week, 2 weeks, whatever that time frame looks like. But also, those communications go out based on a function called statuses. Now, statuses are color coded phrases that are designed to kind of tell you where you are from start to middle to finish in your service cycle. And back to the work in progress screen, you've got a column that really defines at a high level what those statuses are. Things like we've got special order parts received, we're ready to work, in which case we've got all the parts we need, we're ready to move forward, or we're ready to cashier and deliver this unit to the customer. And those statuses will also trigger communications to go out automatically to the customer through that service cycle. All the while, over on the right side of this communications tab, the green boxes reflect every single text message or email that's gone out to the customer from start to middle to finish. Chances are a customer is going to respond from time to time with a thank you or a I have a question or whatever that response is. Those responses will also come back into this communications tab. They're going to be lit up in blue so that anybody looking at this screen, whether you're the service writer, the manager, the technician, the general manager, can see exactly what we promised, what the customer agreed to, what the audit trail of communication is. Now, chances are you've got multiple conversations going on and variety of different parameters happening related to your repair orders. If you're busy, there's a lot to keep track of. And chances are you're not always at your desk, which offers the ability to now talk about the mobile application. So how do we manage things if we're not at our desk, if I'm not in front of my Lightspeed computer? Well, some of you might be familiar with our Lightspeed mobile application. And just to kind of get everybody up to speed on that, it's going to work in your Apple device, your Android device, tablet, or cell phone. So it doesn't care what flavor of mobile device you use, it works in all of them. And it gives you a supplemental experience to the Lightspeed world, letting you manage almost the entire system from your cell phone, from a little device in your pocket. Access to parts, service, sales functions, accounting, even rental, and even your customer list. And we're going to focus on a few of those throughout today's presentation. But back to the story, we're managing customer expectations, automation, and communication. And when those communications go out of Lightspeed and the customer responds, and you're waiting for that response, but you're not at your computer, well, I can press the customer's button, and those texts and emails that I'm waiting for inside of Lightspeed are now visible to me from my cell phone. So it's a mirror image of activity in both environments. So no matter where I am, I never miss a beat. I can keep track of my customers easily. Powerful stuff. So back to the other element of follow-up chains, we talked about it from a perspective of assigning appointments, follow-ups, tasks, appointments to your calendar. Let's take a look at the calendar. But before I do that, one of the more important elements that I'm going to speak to just before I transition to that calendar experience is even after the sale, even after the repair order has been cashiered, the vehicle's been delivered to the customer, days have gone by, follow-up chains continue to text and email the customer even after the sale to remind them to set up their next appointment, remind them about promotions, or maybe there's an opportunity to convert that follow-up, that workflow from a service appointment to a sale on your sales floor. Follow-up chains provide those solutions in all of those different ways. But when it comes to assigning appointments to the calendar and being alerted about those appointments, that's our next subject. Let's talk about that. So we're going to transition over to calendar and alerts. Now, some of you might be using both of these, and that's great. Some of you, this might be new to. So we're going to kind of go through a little bit of an exploration of both alerts and the calendar, and I'm going to show you one of the new innovations that we're just rolling out right now to the calendar to really kind of enhance that calendar experience. Some things that we've really been asked for from our clients and customers. I'll show you what that looks like today. So let's go ahead and jump back into Lightspeed. Before I get to the calendar, I'm going to talk about system alerts. And just to kind of introduce the subject, introduce how do I know that I've got an appointment? How do I know that I need to follow up with a customer? Am I going to miss that appointment? I don't want to miss it. So if you go into system alerts, depending on what role you have in the business, there's an alert for everybody in your store. From the accountant to the parts person to the salesperson to the service person, you can assign yourself from system alerts any one of the alerts that you want to be alerted about. Seems redundant, does it, when I keep saying that? But we're going to focus on follow-ups. So in this case, I check the box to be reminded of a follow-up. This is those calendar events, those appointments, those tasks that I'm being assigned and that are going to eventually show up on my calendar. And I want to know 30 minutes before I have an appointment that's due. I want a text message. I want an email. I want the mobile app to alert me. In fact, I want a little pop-up in Lightspeed so I never miss it. And I can even assign a severity color, which really just puts a color coding on the Lightspeed pop-up so that the red ones I know I need to really pay attention to. The medium ones, yeah, I'm interested. The green ones, yeah, cool. It's great to know. But I can assign those severities so that I can kind of manage those alerts as they occur throughout the business. Now, as those appointments are being assigned to my calendar, let's take a look at what that experience looks like. I'm going to go from service to service scheduler with calendar. And that's going to pull up, for those of you that haven't seen this before, the Lightspeed calendar. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of a walk around of what this really entails in terms of the details. From the service perspective, we've got our workflow manager over here, our work in progress manager, if you will. The same list of estimates and repair orders that we saw on the service side are now in the calendar. And I can kind of hunt and peck around, look for a customer that I'm working with, or I can use some filters to find exactly the type of customer or status that I'm looking for. Ultimately, see the jobs that are assigned to that repair order, and we'll come back to that in just a moment. Center of the screen shows my current calendar month and future calendar month, and we're going to pretend like today's the 29th. And if I hover over today, I see there's 23 appointments assigned to the calendar. These might be somebody scheduled to turn wrenches on a repair order, might be an appointment to deliver a product, might be an appointment to text or call a customer. But I've got 23 assigned to the calendar. Over on the right are the people's calendars that I can see in addition to my own. So Brian, I can see Riley, I can see Tommy. Now, one of the key elements that I'll mention here is in order for me to see other folks' calendars, they've got to share their calendar with me. So that offers a little bit of privacy for those of you that don't want other folks in your business to see your calendar. Just so you know, you have to share your calendar with those people to see, for them to see it. So right now I've got 3 different elements available to me. Now, going back to the story, under Brian's name, he's got a series of appointments, turning wrenches, making phone calls, delivering pickup. Same with Riley, same with Tommy. Now, in the past, in order for me to edit or change those calendar events, I've got to highlight the calendar event, right click, and then click the edit button, where I can then change the user, change the date, change the time. One of the latest innovations that's come to the calendar is now the ability to click and drag the scheduled item. So I can click and drag it over to another person. I can expand the duration of time that's assigned to that calendar event. So it really allows me a more seamless, easier user experience with the calendar if I need to make adjustments to those items on the calendar. Now, since we're talking mobile application and desktop applications today, we're going to show you what it looks like if I'm managing appointments, expectations of customers, and management from a cell phone application. So let's take a look at the mobile application one more time. I'm going to go to the calendar experience in the mobile app, which really falls under follow-up chains. Now, it might also fall under technician if I've got jobs assigned to me. There's really 2 different places where I might see appointments assigned to me. But if I click that follow-ups button, I can see every phone call I need to make, delivery, pickup, anything that I need to make for today. I can see those visuals from my cell phone. So again, I don't always have to be at my desk. If I'm waiting for an alert, if I'm waiting for an appointment reminder, it's coming to my phone, and I can manage those calendar events, those appointments from my phone just as well as I can from the desktop calendar view. And if I make a phone call, if I need to take notes about a meeting that I had with a customer, if I need to document something about one of those appointments, I can put those notes right into that calendar event, and it copies and pastes back into the repair order or the sales deal that those notes are associated to. So it really allows me to manage that calendar experience, those appointments, those alerts and follow-ups from both in my environments, tablet, cell phone, or from the desktop. That's going to take us to the next topic of conversation today, which is forms and electronic signatures. So since our subject matter today is creating efficiency, saving time, using new technologies in the Lightspeed world, Electronic signature is one of those elements that's really going to expedite the process for your users of Lightspeed, but also increase the satisfaction of your customers. And let's take a look at what that experience looks like in service together. So let's go back into Lightspeed. I'm going to go back to service, estimates and repair orders, that work in progress screen. We're going to pick on Miss Linda Smith one more time. So we're going to grab her repair order, and we're going to show you what that electronic signature element looks like when it comes to forms. So back to the story, we've got Linda's repair order already created. We've already got Diana turning wrenches on that particular RV. We're going to look at what the repair order looks like from the desktop side when it comes to e-signature, and also look at it from the mobile application together. So if we've written up the repair order, now it's time to provide a copy of a document to the customer. I might click the down arrow and select the summary or the detail version of the customer-facing estimate. That estimate's going to look something like this. It'll have your business logo, a breakdown on everything you promised and are going to deliver to the customer, along with disclaimer statements and a signature line at the bottom. Now, if I'm at the service desk, chances are I've got a printer handy. I could simply print it to my laser printer. Customer could sign with a pen and we can move forward. But let's talk fancy. Let's talk technology. Let's talk efficiencies. I can press e-signature, and rather than sending this document to a printer, I can send it to the customer's cell phone, or I can pull it up on my own tablet, let the customer review this document in a digital format, and then they can sign with their finger, and I can save a copy of that signature to the desktop. Let's take a look at what that looks like. So I press generate document, and I send this form to the customer via text or email, or I pull it up on my tablet. Now, if we're looking at it from a mobile perspective, what does the customer ultimately see when that happens? Let's see what that looks like together. Now, what I also like about the ability to use e-signature in service, back to the idea that you're not always at your desk. You're not always at the keyboard. You're maybe writing up a customer in the parking lot, the showroom floor. You're in the back room interacting with customers. Chances are you don't have a printer in your pocket, so you may not be able to print a document from away from your desk. Well, if I press that repair orders button on the cell phone, I get a list of all the repair orders, that same work in progress screen that we saw on the desktop. It's visible to me on the phone. But to expedite, we're going to jump right into Miss Linda Smith's repair order. I'm going to go into the documents, click new, get a copy of that estimate, that repair order document, send it to the customer via text or email, or pull it up on my own tablet. And if I'm asking for input from the customer in the form of a signature, or I need initials, or I need a checkbox checked, this is the legal portion of that document that's saying we agree to terms and conditions. It makes that document legal. Then you can review the document with the customer. They can click sign on their cell phone or your tablet, sign with their finger, and ultimately at that point, if they're on their own phone, they download a copy to their device. If you're using your device, then you can send that copy via text or email to the customer, and anything that you've signed electronically, whether it's your device or the customer's, lands as an e-signature on the repair order. So we're very quickly able to capture those signatures and move the customer forward, move that repair order forward, creating efficiencies and time savings. Powerful stuff. So let's talk about the next element of today's presentation, which is mobile service video. So we're kind of keeping step with the element of mobile, kind of that experience in the cell phone world where everybody's mobile today, and really Lightspeed is going mobile for the most part as well. As I mentioned at the beginning, most of the things that you can do from the desktop, you can now do from a cell phone, and one of those things we're going to talk about is service video. So let's take a look at what that experience looks like in Lightspeed. And yeah, once again, we're going to go back in estimates and repair orders, and we're going to talk about Miss Linda Smith's repair order one more time. We're going to look at this from the technician's perspective. Now, of course, the service advisor could also use the service video functions to communicate to the customer. It's a potential upsell opportunity. It's a potential communicate the status opportunity. It's also an opportunity maybe to send details to a warranty or insurance company. But I'm going to go to the work tab for Miss Linda Smith's repair order. I'm going to check one of the boxes for one of the jobs on the repair. And we're going to talk about this mobile video experience. So from the mobile application, if the technician is working on that vehicle, needs to send an update to the customer, needs to document the condition of something, they go into the tech portion of the mobile, pick the job that they need to create a video for, press the videos button, press record, and then walk around the vehicle or point their phone at the element that the customer needs to review. They can then record that video quickly and easily, save to the mobile device, or actually to the cloud. It's accessible from the mobile device. But ultimately, that video that we've recorded on the phone has landed as an attachment on the desktop side of Lightspeed on the associated job. So here's where the videos are. Incidentally, here's where pictures are. Now, when it comes to the video, if I need to send this to the customer for their review, a potential upsell opportunity, maybe to share it with a warranty company or an insurance company, I can click send message at the top of the screen, send a text, send an email, attach a photo, attach a video, even send them a link to pay a deposit towards the repair order, which we've got that available as well to really kind of streamline the process. Again, technologies, right? So I click add video and I send that to the customer. They get the link to the video and they're going to see something that looks like this.
Hey Linda, this is Brad, your service tech. I just wanted to give you a little update on what was going on with your electrical system. So if you look here at the back of your trailer, you push that open and there's your breaker switches. Now we went ahead and checked all of them here. They all looked good. They were on. All of your blue ones were also not tripped. And well, by the way, if you want to see if a fuse is blown, you'll see a little red light next to these. Now the two things that were blown that were giving you all your electrical problem are these two 40 amp fuses right here. That's for your converter. That's what changes the shore power to battery power. So we found one of those, we pulled it, found it was blown, replaced it. You should be in good shape now. Your battery should charge with no problem. But as always, give me a call if you have any questions.
Now, in my mind, if you can imagine you're the customer, you're getting a video like that, that really just enhances your trust in the business, enhances the experience that you're having with that business. And if I got a video like that, I'm a sucker for those kinds of things. Chances are I'm a customer for life. And I think most people would agree with you on that. So powerful element to the service experience inside of Lightspeed. But keep in step with that mobile experience, let's talk about a brand new element that's come to the mobile app, Tech Parts Request. Now, the Tech Parts Request has been around for a little bit, but there's a new innovation that's been attached to that parts request, the ability to add a miscellaneous part. And why would we care about that? Well, in some industries, if I'm applying a part to a job, there may not be a part number for that part. It may not come from one of the suppliers that I integrate with. I may not even know the price. I may not know anything about it except I have a description. I know the length, the width. I can take a picture of it. I might even know how many I need, might even know where I can get it. It might be Walmart, it might be one of the local hardware stores, but it's something that I don't normally get from my inventory or from one of my price book providers. That's what we're going to talk about today and what that looks like in Lightspeed. So let's go back to Miss Linda Smith. We're going to go to the Work tab. We're going to talk about the Parts tab specifically, and I'm going to highlight the miscellaneous line that's on this screen. And let's go back to the mobile application and show you kind of how this miscellaneous part got added to the repair order and why it even matters. So back to the mobile application, when I press that tech button, I get access to those repair order jobs again, much like we saw on the video side. I click into the parts function, and I can now select the ability to add parts. I can add a part from inventory. If I know a part number, if I know a description, if I know a supplier code, I can search for any of those things, and it's going to pull information from price books. We'll talk about price books in a minute, as well as inventory. Now, for the items that don't live in price books or inventory, we call those miscellaneous parts. You know, in certain industries, maybe it's a piece of trim or a countertop, or it's an element that I've got to actually send somebody to Walmart or Home Depot or Lowe's to get that part. I don't get it from my normal providers. So I click add miscellaneous part, and from there I can start putting in a description. I can even select a category if it's applicable, like chemicals, clothing, hard parts, hardware, price, cost, quantity, color, location, measurement. So I'm really defining what it is I need, because there isn't a definition outside of what we're doing right here. I can even take a picture of it. So there's a picture of the molding. Maybe I can size it up with my hand or a quarter to really give the person who's going to go to Lowe's or Home Depot or Walmart to get the part, they get an element of really explaining what it is. Launch my camera, take a few pictures, put all those descriptions into that request, and all those description details show up as a miscellaneous line with the associated details below. All the dimensions, costs, research notes, if I'm sending somebody over to the lumberyard to get that item, any notes that they provide in their search, along with pictures, are going to show up at the bottom of the repair order screen, so that the person who's responsible for ultimately going to acquire those items knows exactly what they're looking for. Now, it's possible that somebody that's going to look for these items doesn't work in the service counter. It really kind of depends on your organization. So this same detail is going to be visible on the parts side of the house. And let's look and see what that looks like together. So our repair order number is 304639, and I'm doing that just so I remember. So 304639, I'm going to go to a parts invoice. I'm going to then go to the customer screen. I'm going to select parts to service. I'm going to select repair order 304639. Hopefully I remembered that correctly. There's Miss Linda Smith, so I click OK. And this brings up that miscellaneous part request on a parts invoice. So I may have a parts person that's responsible for acquiring that item. The bottom of the screen, the miscellaneous part details, the picture, the description, the research notes, all the details that I need to know as the parts retriever, all those details are visible to me now from the parts invoice screen. Powerful stuff. I think it's pretty cool. So it just adds an element, a new twist on that parts request element of the mobile application for your technicians. Pretty cool stuff. So with that, let's talk a little bit about OEM integrations and even some third-party integrations. And really, what does that mean when it comes to Lightspeed? Well, integrations are all of the different relationships we have with the manufacturers that you work with, the third-party companies that you work with. And what are those integrations? Well, it could be anything from price book details on the parts side of the house, warehouse information on parts, warranty integrations, bulletins, recalls, stop sales, integrations on the accounting side of the business. So there's a number of different ways that your OEMs and third-party companies are communicating with your Lightspeed experience. And really, we've got over 450 different companies that we work with in some capacity. And if you're interested, if you're curious to see who some of those companies are, what I'd like to do is just introduce you to the Lightspeed website. So lightspeeddms.com. We're going to come back to this in a little bit as well. But on the partners page of our website is a way that you can go and search by brand, by OEM, by provider, or even by department or industry for a company that you would like to integrate with. And as I mentioned, we've got well over 450 different providers that we integrate with that are feeding all of those information, price books, warehouse, APIs for website integration, etc., into your Lightspeed experience. And the partners page is a great resource for you to find who those companies are. So let's go back and talk a little bit more about integrations and just introduce you to some of the names that we're integrated with, some of the bigger names in the power sports, marine, and RV space. As we move into new industries like golf, trailer, and outdoor power equipment, we're continuing to add new relationships with these companies to further enhance the library of OEM and third-party companies that we integrate with. And these are just a few that we work with today. As I mentioned, well over 450. And the website's a great resource to find some of those things. Well, let me show you what some of those integrations mean, because I can say integrations, I can throw a bunch of names at you, and it really doesn't make sense until you see some of these things in action. So let's see some of those things in action. Let's go back to Lightspeed. We're going to pick on Ms. Linda Smith one more time. Sorry, Linda, we keep picking on you today, but we're going to one more time. So we come into our work in progress screen, estimates and repair orders. I'm going to double click on Linda's repair order once more. And let's imagine we're starting from scratch with a new repair order for Linda. We add her RV to the repair order, and as soon as I add the Forest River RV or the Honda motorcycle or the Polaris RZR, whatever it is I'm adding to the repair order, if there's a warranty, if there's a recall, if there's a stop sale, if there's anything that I need to be alerted about, the bulletins button starts flashing and it tells me there's something I need to know. Now, this might be an opportunity for me to share information to the customer. This might be an opportunity for me to generate revenue if we're talking about warranty or recalls. But when I press that button, the warranty details immediately pop up on the screen so that I can now fulfill that warranty obligation or just communicate the details to the customer. That's one of the integrations that we offer at Lightspeed. Powerful stuff. Really increases the customer experience as well. Moving forward a little bit into the same repair order, if I go to the Parts tab, you'll notice there's a button for EPC lookup, and EPC is short for Electronic Parts Catalog. And we've got a number of partners that we partner with to get access to Electronic Parts Catalog, two of which show up on the screen here, PartSmart and Parts Manager Pro. But another one, and we've done a recent webinar, and I'll show you where you can review this if you're interested, if you're in the RV space, really cool stuff, is RV Part Finder. So if I've got an integration with RV Part Finder, I'll select that button, and it'll give me access to that RV Part Finder tool where I can look up the part numbers, the SKUs. I can access documentation about appliances or the coaches themselves. I can see schematics of the things that I'm working on, and it'll communicate those details back to Lightspeed through a shopping cart experience from RV Part Finder. And just to give you a sense of where that detail might live on our website, if you're interested, so back to lightspeeddms.com, if you go to the Resource Hub and you go to Resource Library, under Resource Library is all of the past webinars that we've done over the last couple of years. And if you select On-Demand Webinars in the Resource Library, you'll see a series of webinars from accounting functions to parts to service to CRM to sales to rental. But specifically, since we're talking RV Part Finder, I would encourage you to check out this webinar with RV Part Finder. And it really goes through the meat and potatoes of how powerful this tool is. So definitely check that out if you're in the RV space. And that's a great resource for you. So back to Lightspeed. On the parts side of the house, just kind of to speak about a couple of other integrations, if I'm opening up a parts invoice, one of the things I'm going to point to before I put in the detail on the invoice screen is price books. Now, as I mentioned, those 450 different relationships we have with providers affords us the ability to get all of their part numbers, descriptions, retail prices, costs, super session details, UPC codes. All of those are fed into your Lightspeed experience in the middle of the night, so you never have to manage any of that data. We're providing you the latest and greatest information as quickly as every single day, and it really kind of depends on the provider, sometimes less frequently than that, but you've always got the latest information from those providers fed into your Lightspeed experience. That's one of the integrations. To coincide with that concept of price books, we also offer a function called warehouse info. Now, if I plug a part number into the invoice screen or a repair order, maybe I'm on a sales deal, when I plug in a part number that I don't have in stock, in the case of this particular Dunlop tire, I don't have one to sell, but I've got a customer that wants it. And usually when it comes to something I don't have in stock that my customer wants, well, they can just as easily go home and order it on Amazon or on eBay or Rocky Mountain MC or wherever. So time is of the essence when it comes to special order parts, particularly today. So if I can explain to the customer, I'll have that here tomorrow or later today, that's probably the difference between me selling that part and not selling it. So the bottom of the screen, since Lightspeed recognizes I don't have that part in stock, some green lights just lit up. Warehouse, dealer, and store locator. Now, warehouse is going to be one of those integrations we have with third-party and OEM companies to tell you, does that company have it on their shelf in their wholesaler warehouse, and which warehouse is it in? Now, as I mentioned, I'm in Utah, so I know Nevada's a day away from me, so I can tell the customer, I'll have that here tomorrow. What do you think? And that's probably the difference between me selling that tire and them going and order it from Amazon. Now, the other thing is if the part's back ordered or discontinued, or maybe it's from a provider that I don't work with. Maybe I'm a Honda store, my customer wants a Harley Davidson part. I may not be able to get that part from Harley Davidson, but I can get it from one of the dealerships that use Lightspeed that is a Harley store. I can see they have the part on their shelf. I can see where they're located and who to contact if I need to get that part from my customer. Again, just to increase that customer experience, generate some more revenue for me. And if I happen to be one of those companies that have multiple rooftops, an east side store and a west side store, well, my east side store doesn't have one, but my west side store, inter-store availability, lets me see that one of my other locations has that part. So this is another tool that really just expedites that process for your parts people, your service people, creates a better experience for your customers. Last thing I'll speak to here on the parts side of the house, I know we're getting to the top of our time, is electronic parts catalogs. Just want to show you one other element. So from a parts perspective, again, we mentioned we've got several different partners that we work with for electronic parts catalogs, from your OEMs to third-party companies like PM Pro and PartSmart. RV Part Finder is another one of those. If I select any one of those, it's going to launch that online parts lookup feature, where I can then search by product line, let's say Honda, for example. Find the product I'm looking for. Let's pick a motorcycle. Let's pick 2022. Let's grab this CB500X. And we'll just grab a few parts from the valve train. So I'm going to grab this guy and this guy and this guy because I need those or my customer needs those. Bottom of the screen says send to Lightspeed. I press this little arrow and it sends those part numbers right into my parts invoice or my repair order screen, where it tells me, do I have the part in stock? And if I don't, well, it tells me that I can get it from one of my suppliers. So it gives me that information, and it's quick, it's easy, it's integrated into the program. It really just streamlines the process for me. So the last thing I'm going to offer, kind of a bonus round, and this is not necessarily an integration with our providers, but I would say it's an integration maybe with Lightspeed. Can we integrate with ourselves? I don't know. We'll pretend we can. So back into the Lightspeed world, I'm going to click the Get Help button. So some of you might be using this. If you haven't noticed this before, you haven't used it, I would encourage you to check it out. Press that Get Help button inside of Lightspeed, and it's going to launch your custom tailored Lightspeed support portal. So it's going to take you to a screen that looks like this. And on your Lightspeed support portal, you have access to on-demand webinars, news about Lightspeed, news about the industry. You also have, if you've got a troubleshooting issue, problems that other dealerships might be having, you can reference those problems and find the answers to the things you're looking for. I also think of this as my electronic owner's manual. So gone are the days when we used to get an owner's manual that was printed in a book. Now everything's kind of going electronic, right? PDF or web-based. Lightspeed's no different. If I have a question about something like a discount on a part, if I have a question about texting or elements of CRM, some of the things we talked about today, I can search for an item that relates to the topic I'm looking for in my electronic owner's manual. Hopefully the document that's provided answers your question. If it does, great, move forward and take care of your day. If it doesn't, you have access to chat support from the same portal. 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, you can communicate with one of our support agents that's located right here in Salt Lake City, Utah. So when you reach out to support, you're talking to somebody at our home office here in Utah. Or you have access to phone support 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can pick up the phone, call somebody in support. Somebody here at the Lightspeed office in Salt Lake City, Utah will answer any questions you have and get you taken care of. But I would encourage you to check out the Lightspeed support portal, where again, you have access to virtual instructor-led training, you have access to webinars, news about the program. Really, it's kind of your one-stop shop to answer anything and all things Lightspeed. Pretty powerful stuff. So we've gone through a lot today in a fairly short period of time. I'm sure there are some questions that have come through, and we've talked about anything from automation and communication and CRM. We've talked about workflow management, some of the innovations in the calendar and the mobile application. We've talked about some OEM partnerships. I certainly appreciate everybody's time and attention today, and let's see if we can answer a couple of questions maybe.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Brian. We'll give you a chance to take a breath and maybe get us something to sip too, but thank you again. Awesome information, so much to cover in there and so many new features and functionality that we might make sure our customers are aware of. I'll address just a couple of questions that came in. One that we've seen a couple of people ask is if they can watch the webinar again. Brian's so good. Everybody wants to see it again. And yes, this webinar will be available on demand out on our website sometime tomorrow. So where Brian showed you, if you just go out to lightspeeddms.com and then it's underneath the resources and there's an option called webinars, you'll see the on-demand webinars out there. And we'll also send a follow-up email to everybody with the link to the recording, as well as answers to some of the questions that we probably aren't going to get to all of those today. So we'll go ahead and just take a look at a few of the questions. And I'm not going to be able to do all of these. So hang with us and we'll do some of the top questions that maybe we saw more than once come in the system too. Let me go. There was one I wanted to see talking about texting. Fun to see some of the texting. Just mobile. People have asked again about mobile, Brian. Like, okay, what's the charge for mobile? What do I have to do to get that set up?
Oh, great. Yeah, great question. Mobile application is free. So best price in the world, right? So you can go to your Google Play Store, you can go to Apple App Store, download the mobile application. Now, there are some setups that you need to put in place in order for you to access your server and your Lightspeed system. If you need some help with that, reach out to our customer support team, or somebody in your store may also have the answers to that. But if you're interested in the mobile app, do check it out, download it, play with it. You're going to love it. And it's free.
Yeah, it's free. That's awesome. People asking questions about the system alerts. Kind of fun to see all the different ways. Are the alerts assigned by user? Or are they organization wide?
They're assigned by user. So everybody that has access to the alert screen can pick and choose the things that they need to be alerted about. So you can really customize your experience in the program. And one cautionary item that I would offer is if you sign up for too many alerts, your phone's never going to stop buzzing. So do be careful on how many you assign yourself, but do check it out. It's well worth checking out.
Yep, that's awesome. E-signatures. Somebody's wondering if there's a way to resend an e-signature document to a customer.
You can. So if you go to the e-signature tab inside of the repair order, the sales deal, wherever those e-signature functions live, you can reprint, you can access those previously created signatures, and you can then send them via text from the e-signature tab in the associated document.
Yeah, and then they kind of had to follow up to that, Brian, which I should have probably read before that too. They said, so they send them a second agreement, but then they have the old one sitting out there still that's in a not approved state. So is there a way to kind of remove that one?
You know, that's a great question. I would reach out to our customer support team and see what they have in terms of solutions for that.
Yeah, I said that one gets a little more complicated when, they're trying to do a little troubleshooting too. So another one, somebody's just wondering, where do the pictures go? Like when we do all our tech videos and pictures, like once you close out an RO, where are those attachments stored? Does it stay with the unit or how are those stored?
Those videos, those photos stay with the repair order. Now, there is service history attached to the unit, there's service history attached to the customer, and you can access any of those records in the program and then therefore attach or access the associated repair order where the attachments live, but they basically stay with the original source document.
Yeah, with the repair order, even after it's closed then. Yeah, because there was a
Correct.
couple of questions on that topic too. So that's a great one as well.
Yeah.
There was another one too, which I thought was going to give us an opportunity to even talk about coming up feature functionality. Um, Calendar questions, and this one gets maybe a little more complex too. Like, just wondering if they have multiple locations. How do you manage that in your calendars? Gets to be a little more complex. More than one location. Can you link to that on a one main calendar?
Calendars are based on individual locations, so let's follow up with that individual on
Yeah,
that subject.
yeah. I said that gets to be a little more complicated too.
Mhm.
Um, that's probably some of the big ones too. There's more questions out here, and again, I apologize. We aren't going to be able to get to all of them, but the good news is that we do a Q&A document, so we're going to address some of these more prominent questions that have come in today as well. If you have a pressing matter and you really need help with that today, one of the best ways to do it again is even how Brian just navigated to earlier within Lightspeed. Go to that Get Help, and right from within the Get Help, you can also request support. And that'll open up a new support case for you as well. So you can get specific questions about your situation and work with one of our Lightspeed tech support specialists. So that kind of wraps us up for today. Thank you again, Brian, for an awesome way to kick off the year with the 2025 and all these great new Lightspeed innovations. We appreciate all of you taking time out of your day to attend. We're even getting hearts and applause today, Brian. This is a big way to start
Hey,
the year. So
we'll take
thank
it.
you,
All right.
everybody, for your time. Thanks again, Brian, for an awesome presentation. And we hope to see you again next month when we'll be talking about another topic. So thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks, Diana. Thanks, everybody.